sector has been around in India for a while. Ahimsa Foods was selling plant-based prawns and plant-based seek kebabs and sausages for 11, 12 years. And, we've had a lot of companies come in the recent times. But from the last year, you'd be able to see an explosion in the amount of funding that is coming into this sector, in the amount of VCs or businessmen or entrepreneurs that are interested in this space, in the amount of actual thought and effort and research that is going in this direction. So that's increased significantly in the past 2 years. And it is going to increase more.
Hi friends, welcome to Change Started, to our series Change Trails. Many of us would want to do social transformation, but we do not have the resources and means to make that happen. Four Pursuits is one such organization which is giving you the platform in order to pursue activities and business which are into social transformation and social impact. So they do it in certain sectors like environment, agriculture, food traceability, and health and wellness. So we have Prakarshi Pulkit to speak more about it. So welcome, Prakarshi. Thanks for joining us and helping us understand more about your organization.
Thank you so much, Varun. I'm sorry to correct you. It's Prakarshi. It's a hard to pronounce name, so it's okay. I get that a lot. But thank you so much for having me. Thank you so much for taking out the time to listen to us and understand what we're trying to do.
Cool. So Prakarshi, so why don't you tell us about your journey?
All right. I started my education as a computer science engineering student, and soon realized that I'm going to be mediocre at best because my heart really lied in food and eating food and learning more about it. I decided to take a big leap of faith and joined a culinary arts college, quit my engineering in between. And, I couldn't have made a better choice looking back today. I was very fortunate that I got into the ITC management training program and went on to work at 5-star hotel, at ITC Hotels actually, for about 6.5 years. All throughout, I kept, starting other food entrepreneurship businesses with other people. I did my own first venture, failed horribly at it. However, kept persevering. In the last year of my career, I became very, very interested in the cell-based and plant-based space in the world. My main interest in this segment was from the fact that I was part of a system that, in the name of luxury, is one of the most wasteful and unsustainable systems in the world. And ITC being a very sustainability-oriented company, even then, I truly felt like I was a part of the problem. And everything that chefs talk about sustainability, go local, and none of that was actually a reality. So I really wanted to change what I did in the world and the impact I left. And I started doing some research, and that's how I kind of got involved with Four Pursuits and the professors at IIT who were doing some research on making mock meats. And I decided to help them in my free time, and eventually they gave they asked me to come on board and join them as a co-founder in the Jan of 2020. When we started Four Pursuits and we wanted to start a whole line of IIT, we basically funded a research at IIT Delhi to make mock meat alternatives or plant-based alternatives to egg, chicken, fish, pork, turkey, duck, beef, cheese, the whole lot. When we started this, what we thought was going to be an easy venture where IIT would give us product A and we could go to the market and sell product A. It didn't turn out to be that easy. It took us a long time to get the product from an idea or a lab phase to a real product that could be placed in a store or could be sold to anyone. It took us a while to understand the whole logistics, supply chain bit, and of course overcome a lot of challenges and then COVID hit, and then all our plans got changed, but we kept continuously trying to evolve. And this is my dog Tofu. I think he also wants some attention. So we managed to kind of launch our first flagship product, which was a plant-based alternative to an egg, in the mid of September. And that's how we kind of started our journey into other products. Now it's been a year and a half, and we've been making slow and steady progress. We've got now about 20 products in our portfolio, and we are expanding into lamb seek kebabs and nut butters and and plant-based mayonnaise and plant-based cream, and eventually now even looking at plant-based sausages and paneer and a lot of different formats, to try and change the way the world eats, because the system is broken right now.
Awesome. So what I understand, Parakshi, is that you have used your experience, you have used your personal problem to set up this venture to help other companies in order to pursue into food sector, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I believe setting up a platform is not easy, and you need a lot of resources, and money is the most important part. So
Mm-hmm.
how you are going and bringing everything together to help other businesses?
All right. So I've again, I've been very, very blessed. Actually, at every stage in your life, you need someone who's like a mentor or a guiding light. And for me, I found that in Mr. Rahul Diwan. He's an entrepreneur, a self-made entrepreneur. He started his own company, when he was young, 18, 20 years back, actually. And he, has built that company without any outside funding over the course of 18 years into a fairly successful mid-sized tech company called Srijan Technologies. Now, Rahul is a visionary, and he's the one who basically, invests in Four Pursuits and is the primary, founder for Four Pursuits, with his vision being for Four Pursuits की चार चीजों की पीछे pursuit है, कर्म धर्म अर्थ और मोक्ष. So his vision was to kind of, use whatever his success that he has, got, whatever success he has achieved, to kind of give back to the world, and kind of support impactful, social impactful businesses, and kind of help them, build this into a sustainable, viable thing. So right now, most, like all of our funding actually comes from Srijan Technologies and Four Pursuits, which is a wing of Srijan Technologies. We, however, of course, no one has unlimited money. We definitely keep a track on. I mean, it's been a year and a half, and we have a team of only 4 people. We keep a very, very lean team. We keep a very close watch on our cash burn. We've made our plans and projections for a year and a half, and we know, till what point do we need to, do what targets do we need to achieve, so that we are able to kind of become a self-sustainable company. And at some point, we do understand that we would be required to raise funds if we are to scale up operations really fast, and we would have to go the conventional route all startups go, that is to find a VC or an angel or equity investor, and then and take that route. However, we were also very sure that we want to build a solid business, not a business that's an evaluation driven game, where you're just trying to, where it's a catch up game, where you're trying to just raise your evaluation whether your business is profitable or not. We wanted to build a solid business that can sustain itself and can survive without outside funding. And if and when we do take funding, we will it will be only to accelerate that growth, and not to just survive. So that's how we've approached this. It's not easy, and I understand it might not be possible for anyone who does not have a mentor or a backing like Rahul Diwan to kind of start your own business and do something like this. But I want to kind of give one small example that I learned in an accelerator, is that this is done in all the major B schools in the world. Is the people are divided into groups, and every group is given a time of 4 hours and $5 or 5 rupees, and given ki 4 hours mein, you have to multiply this money as much as you can, and the group that brings back the most money wins. Now, the true entrepreneur is the one who keeps that $5 in his pocket and then says, let's go and make money. The ones who have spent that $5 to do something else are already behind the true entrepreneurs, because that's what entrepreneurship is all about, is having to do everything without having anything. सोने से जो मिट्टी बनाता है वही entrepreneur बन सकता है. So that's the philosophy that we've been trying to follow, and that's why you won't see us spending a lot on major PR campaigns or advertisements, because we're very, very cautious about how much we can afford to spend on and in what direction. So I mean, that's been our philosophy, and that's how we're going by.
Very well said. Very well said. Because a lot of times people who are into sustainability business are themselves not very sustainable in terms of running the business and operation. So if you are into sustainability and if you are running a sustainability platform, then it is very important that you optimize your resources and do well with it. So well said. Good one. So my next question is, how do you go about identifying a business? So what is the process like in identifying and spotting an opportunity and then pursuing that activity, that opportunity to further level?
Right. So, for any kind of venture that we embark upon, first thing that we kind of see is what kind of social impact it will have, what kind of environmental impact it will have. First, we need to be very sure that it is something that will have a very, very deeply rooted significant impact and change the way we think or do things very, very drastically. And second, we then start looking at, okay, who else is doing what in this space, what institutions are doing research. And we primarily, till now, up until now, we've been mostly going to large institutions or academia, and asking them, the kind of research that they're working on, and trying to fund those researches and or collaborate with them to kind of build a business out of it. Of course, it's a much more difficult and much more kind of time consuming process. You would have to really understand what industry it is, how is it relevant, and and sometimes, no matter how much homework you do, when you go out into the battlefield, you'll realize there are still a lot of challenges. So amongst the other things, I mean, Plantmade is one. We've also got a project where we have funded a blockchain software for food traceability, specifically targeted at honey traceability, to ensure that when, as a consumer, you buy a jar of honey and you scan a QR code, you get to know that this honey has come from a certain farm in Andhra Pradesh by this farmer, and that QR code ensures that the whole supply chain has been untampered with. So that's one of the things. We've got a few other things that we are currently trying to explore. Of course, first is the exploration and understanding how it will make an impact, and then we kind of start to build on how we will make it into a sustainable business, and so on.
So a couple of questions. So mostly on food. So you are kind of focusing on food because that is where your expertise lies, right? So food. I mean, Indians are a big foodie. I believe you guys are concentrating in India, and Indians are big time foodie. But though I don't know about the percentage, but we also eat a lot of non-veg food. So how
Yes,
do you persuade or move people from the real meat to a mock meat or a plant-based meat? How do you go about it? And is that really industry which we can or Indians can work on? Because in US, Impossible Food and Beyond Burger are doing great, but I don't know how much of that is working in India. So how do you see that sector?
Absolutely. So you're very right. A lot of Indians actually do eat. I mean, I think more than 76% of India does eat meat on and off regularly, irregularly, or egg, or in some form. Very, like, not a major chunk, but you have to also see that almost 50% of India doesn't eat meat regularly. They eat it once a month, maybe once a week, or don't eat meat at home, or don't eat meat on Mangalwar, Somvar. So there is definitely a certain taboo or stigma associated with meat, whether you can attribute it to religious reasons, or for animal empathy, or for personal health reason, or that taboo of killing and eating an animal, whatever, either ways. So there is a certain bias towards plant or vegetarian food in general. And I don't think it's possible to completely become a crusader and say kal se chicken ban ho jana chahiye and everyone should eat this. It's not going to happen. It took us a few thousand years to get to this point where we eat so much meat and dairy, and it'll take us a few thousand years to eventually wade it away. Now, I feel hopeful that there can be a great change in India, because, number one, a significant percentage of the population is below the age of 29 and has access to smartphones, internet, and has the acumen to kind of understand the impact of food and food systems on our body, on the environment, on animals, on zoonotic diseases, and so on. So there is an increasing level of awareness in general. Whether it doesn't matter which strata of the society you're from. In general, there is an overall increased level of awareness. Number two, the primary reason we must understand why developing countries and developing economies have a huge demand for meat, or have an increasing demand for meat, is because meat has become a source of cheap protein because of the subsidies and the ill practices that they have in the meat industry. And it has also become a certain reward system for us in our societies where we say कि अच्छा आज किसी का बर्थडे है मटन बनाना चाहिए, आज तेरा बर्थडे है तो ये chicken बनना चाहिए. So things like that have kind of crept into our lives where someone who's earning 10 or 15,000 rupees a month and wants to reward his family on a special occasion or on a Sunday, the immediate go-to thing is meat. Now, if we were to kind of give them an alternative, Indians make their food buying decisions based on three primary factors: price, taste, and convenience, in that order. So now, when there is a point when plant-based companies will be able to give an Indian consumer a product which is competitive in terms of price, taste, and convenience, then we will definitely be winning. Then it'll be harder to sell chickens, and they'll have to hire Sachin Tendulkar to do an ad for them. But until that point, it will be the 60 lakh people in the top maybe 10 cities of India who have a fairly decent income, who have a fairly decent understanding of health, sustainability of, and have a great kind of conviction to making things better and taking the better choice for everyone. These people are going to be the ones who are going to be the early adopters, who will begin to bring that tide of change. And I think we can already begin to see that with a lot of celebrities or a lot of health conscious fitness experts, choreographers, actors, sports people who are turning to a plant-based diet or turning to a completely sustainable lifestyle because they have the time and they have the means to kind of look at their health and wealth and personal well-being and so on. As this trend percolates down the pyramid, and we are able to bring the costs up down with the volumes going up, we will see a definitive huge shift in the market, where I'm not saying it'll happen in 5 years. It could take maybe again 50, 100 years, because it took 100 years to get meat to this level. So but yeah, it will happen for sure.
Absolutely. I mean, I agree with you, definitely. But there is a world out there which has a different opinion. So that's why I wanted to have this discussion. Moreover, I mean, Prakarshi, I think you will also agree that meat industry, definitely a lot of people understand has environmental damages. I mean, whether it is methane gases or the water it uses or the land it uses. So there is definitely an environmental problem there. But coming to the dairy aspect, the dairy industry, the milk industry, and without going into that Amul controversy, so if we can discuss more about that milk debate, like and just being a devil's advocate, because in India we are not working in an industry, or our milk is not an industry. It works in silos and with farmers and all, right? So how do you see that debate going forward, especially in the dairy industry?
Thank you. That's a very, very relevant question. I get asked that a lot. I'm going to start with maybe my point of view on milk, and again, milk is just like every other food in India, is very, very anthropologically speaking, it's very, very deeply rooted in our culture. It's a sign of prosperity in your household. It's a sign of something pious or holy. It's something that's so sacred you can give it to the gods, and you bathe the gods in it. And ghee is a standard. You cannot light a diya that's not in ghee, and it's really, really hard to get these beliefs out of our system. I'm not saying that drinking milk is or drinking milk is completely bad for you, or ghee एकदम ज़बान पे touch ही नहीं होना चाहिए, आपको खरीदना ही नहीं चाहिए. But what I'm trying to kind of make everyone, I think every plant-based entrepreneur wants others to kind of understand is, number one, milk was biologically designed by nature to make a 10-kilo baby calf, which is born at 10 kilos, to grow into 100 kilos in the next 6 months. We are not cows. That's not our design. So we don't need that kind of nutrition and that kind of power packed, protein and fat and whatever the composition of milk is. We don't need that much on a daily or a regular basis. In all the other species present on this planet, you will not find one species that will drink the milk of another species, and that too when they are adults. So this is like completely unnatural. The third thing is, data shows that almost 50% of the world is lactose intolerant, But because over the years we have kind of accustomed ourselves to consuming dairy on such a regular, consistent basis that we kind of slowly get used to it. Even today in India, so many people feel sick when they have a cup of tea and feel gassy, but they still have that cup of tea. Kids might have a glass of milk and begin puking in the morning, but mums will be like, "Nahi, doodh to pina padega," because that's what we've been taught. Now, dairy industries was not such a big taboo when the times were different, where every family had a couple of cows that were only pregnant for a certain time of the year and gave milk only for a certain duration of their lifetimes, and that milk was first given to the calf for whom it was actually intended, and the remainder or the excess or maybe a little bit of it was extracted so that humans could use it for extra nourishment, because they needed extra nourishment at that time where farming was not so farming or food systems were not so consistent to give you food all throughout. So in that situation, if you own a cow at your house, you don't artificially impregnate it forcefully all throughout its life. And if you do eat some part, have consumed some part of its milk intended for a calf once in a while, it's fine. It all starts to become grim and dingy when you start to see large farms where cows are not treated properly, where cows are artificially inseminated back to back to back, and where their bodies are treated like machines, where they are pumped with antibiotics, steroids, and hormones that make them give 5 to 10 times more milk than they would give under normal circumstances. So that's when it starts to get a little creepy and a little suspicious. I mean, if you just look at the amount of milk that's consumed in India, it's maddening. The amount of milk that we consume. Um, it's just unnatural, and I just feel ki, if we were doing it in a sustainable manner, and everyone was drinking maybe a glass of milk a week, I don't think we would have had a problem. But now it is a problem.
Yeah, agreed. Definitely, you are absolutely right. And maintaining a balance in life is important in all the aspects, whether it is our food, milk, our lifestyle. Everywhere we need to maintain a balance, right? So well said. So thanks for that. So my follow-up question is, how do you see this mock meat or the plant-based industry in India going forward? Considering that you are looking at this sector at a macro level, how do you see startups coming up in this sector? Because in US and in China, I believe it is really huge now. How do you see this sector going in?
So actually, this sector has been around in India for a while. Ahimsa Foods was selling plant-based prawns and plant-based seek kebabs and sausages for 11, 12 years. And, we've had a lot of companies come in the recent times. But from the last year, you'd be able to see an explosion in the amount of funding that is coming into this sector, in the amount of VCs or businessmen or entrepreneurs that are interested in this space, in the amount of actual thought and effort and research that is going in this direction. So that's increased significantly in the past 2 years, and it is going to increase more. Thank God to the Beyond Meats and Impossible Burgers of the world that something that has been around for 1,000 years, with a small tweak in technology, by getting that blood taste of heme iron from a bacteria, they've really transformed people's perception on how mock meats can be consumed and what is their true potential. Uh, in India, the opportunities are endless. At least in this space, we have not even begun to scratch the surface of the market. We're not even at 1% of dairy and meat consumption. In terms of plant-based alternatives, we have not even captured 1% of the market share today. And even if let's say we will not win over 97% of the meat and dairy market, even the 3% is enough to allow maybe 100 companies to thrive, and not just survive but thrive. So even that is a huge market. However, I truly believe that as more and more companies keep coming in this space, not the competition is healthy. I really want other companies to come in and bring a better product than what we have. So then that kind of pushes me to work harder and get something better. So as more and more people enter into this space, it is going to get wider. It is going to get more and more attention and become more and more mainstream.
Absolutely.
So it's looking very positive.
Yeah, and all the best for that, because you are one of the facilitators for the industry. So all the best to make that possible. So my next question is coming back to four pursuits. What is your next objective? How do you want to go about your business in next maybe 2-3 years?
Mhm. Right now, from all of the other ventures, we've had some or the other roadblock. With the bee project, the bee board of India is not very reluctant. Is very reluctant to kind of change. They are very very comfortable in their own ways, and we are kind of looking at applying that technology to a lot of different places. You could use it for rice, for tea, for any kind of geographical indication of food and identification of the supply chain and so on. We're looking at how we can use it. Right now, we are focusing most of our energies on Plantmade, where we have been able to launch a few products. We've been able to start a business, not profitable yet, but we're on the path where we know what we're doing and how it's going, and we think that this is the right thing to do right now. We want to expand our portfolio into quite a few different segments. We didn't want to be a one product company or a one segment कि हम सिर्फ अंडा ही बनाएंगे या हम सिर्फ यही बनाएंगे. We want to kind of collaborate with other people and expand our portfolio so that anyone who's looking to go plant based has the option at the correct price, with the correct taste and with the correct convenience. And right now our plan is to first set up small cold distribution systems of our own in large cities, because that's where a majority of our audience is, and that's where we think that we'll be able to get market traction in the beginning. Once we do that, we then plan to expand into smaller cities and then eventually abroad and so on. But right now the thought is to kind of get a lot of different value added, a lot of different products that can add value to your daily dietary system, and kind of give you an alternative to at least replace an unhealthy thing once a month, once a week, just that, and give you that option in the beginning, and then allow it to slowly grow. Now we've seen over the past I think 6 months that the number of repeat customers we get, the number of people who just visit our site, and the general interest around this whole space has been continuously increasing. So we're very very positive that it's only a matter of time before we see a big tidal wave turning towards the plant-based cuisine.
Absolutely, and it will. And with your you guys blessing, it will definitely march ahead. So, do you want to look at other sectors, because environment and agriculture is also something which you have mentioned on your website. So, is that something also
Yes.
you're looking forward?
Yes. So we've actually funded a food forest. There is a way of farming, or a thought process in farming, where it's where we believe that instead of actually deforesting a place and then setting up an organic farm, which is kind of anyway screwed up nature in its own way, what we do in that forest farm is just throw the seeds in the forest. We don't tend to them, we don't water them, we don't put pesticides, we don't do anything, and we just let it grow, and we harvest it when it's ready. That's it. So we've funded a huge food forest, and at this point we're trying to kind of we do sell all the produce from that forest. We have so many amazing such amazing produce coming out from there, you would not believe it. I mean, some of the best picturesque tomatoes and vegetables that you see in books, you would get to see from a forest like that, because the plants are resilient, they are absolutely additive free, and they get to grow in their own natural wild format. And that really really enhances not only the flavor but also the nutritional component of that food. We right now we've always thought of kind of making it into a platform and selling it, but the forest is so small that we we run out of all the produce even before we start to take orders. So we want to kind of explore this and understand where else can we do this, and how can it be made into a sustainable business model. So right now these two projects, the honey project and the food farm project, are the only two other projects that we're currently working on. We're exploring a lot of other things actually. We want to do something with indigenous plants, like mahua. I don't know if you know of this plant. It's present in the eastern part of the country. It's a flower with which you can make a sweetener, with which you can make a wine, and with which you can make food, and it's a very very versatile flower. I mean, 1,000 years ago it was probably one of the most important crops in India, and unfortunately it's just been dying out. And we maybe we'd want to make wine with it someday and give the try and make us run for their money, and so many other ideas that we have. However, we again do not want to stretch ourselves thinner than we can, and are kind of trying to take it slow and be very patient and very calculative about the steps we take, just to kind of ensure that all the effort and resources that we put in something are kind of worth its while, right? So right now that's our plan.
Cool, awesome. So do you have any advice for an entrepreneur who is looking to work in this sector or has already working in this sector, and how can he approach you or Four Pursuits in order to make his business bigger?
Absolutely. So we're doing a lot to kind of help smaller entrepreneurs and I mean, we just started this entrepreneur program for chefs and chef entrepreneurs. What a lot, because of the pandemic, a lot of hospitality professionals have lost their jobs,
Yeah.
and we wanted to do something which was good for them and good for us. And we've kind of started a program where we invite entrepreneurs, is what we call them, and ask them to come and we basically give you all the resources needed to set up a online delivery kitchen. And it's a completely plant-based menu that we train you for, we send you the raw material for, we do the documentation, we get it up and running, we market it for you, and all you need to do is just make the food and serve it. And we split the profit. We're not very of course money is important, but for us, more important than banking money is to kind of using that money in the right way to expand our vision. And so that's people can write to us on our website, people can write to us on our Instagram, Facebook, we respond everywhere. And apart from that, we have a lot of entrepreneurs who reach out to us with good ideas. If anyone has an idea that is at a stage where it can be commercialized, and you've done your homework and you know what you're doing, we'd be more than happy to have a discussion and understand how we can make it work together. Unlike VCs and equity funding people, we don't really intend to take big chunks of your equity. We just want to build things with you together. That's our kind of way to work.
And that is what is required, right? I mean, though money is definitely important, but your help and assistance is what will count in the long run, because your expertise. But is there any number to it? I mean, do you believe that taking like 10% stake for this much amount, or it keeps it? I mean, you keep it flexible.
So right now we've not really thought about this, to be honest. We've whatever projects we've funded, whatever we've done, it's been internally. We've not really had any major opportunity where someone came to us with a plan and said, okay, this is what it is, can you help me? Whether we will be able to fund it or whether we will be able to help without any money or with just our resources or whatever, we've not unfortunately we've not gotten to a stage with anyone till now. However, as a company, as a team, we're all kind of aligned on what our goal in life is and what kind of change we want to do on this planet before we leave. And this is it. So we're very clear that we will do anything, or we will put our mind, effort, money, or our talent into whatever that will cause a significant social impact and make the lives of everyone better.
Anybody who's listening in, if they want to pursue any business in environment, sustainability, and especially food sector, please approach Prakarshi and Four Pursuits. So, you alluded to it. What was the idea behind Four Pursuits name?
Yeah. So it was actually Rahul's thought, and Rahul is he practices meditation, and I've also been blessed to kind of start doing that in my life. It's helped me a lot. And the more you kind of look inwards for answers, the more you realize that the answers are very easy. So in general, we believe that every soul or every being kind of has four pursuits in their life, and which is karam, dharam, arth, or moksha. So so that is our pursuit, or that is our kind of thought on what we want to do with this company. That's why we called it Four Pursuits.
Very nice. So is it that you want to restrict yourself to India, or you want to explain what those four earth means for the global audience as well?
We definitely plan to conquer the world. We've been getting international inquiries, international investors and VCs, and a lot of entrepreneurs talking to us, since the time we even, even before we incorporated the company. And we've been blessed with a lot of interest from a lot of international audience, and we definitely intend to go there. But again, we're very, very sure that we don't want to rush into things or bite off more than we can chew, and we want to kind of do this right. Once we take a step forward, there's no going back. We believe in a sustainable growth, and we want to take it easy and do it right. So,
cool. All the best for that, Prakarshi. So my final question is: leave your company, leave your this thing. I mean, what is your personal connection with sustainability and environment?
so if you met me a couple of years back and you told me you're a vegetarian, I would have given you a 1 hour lecture on what you're missing in life in terms of taste. Living out of selling meat at a restaurant that sold food worth maybe 2 crores a month, and I was a hardcore meat eater. I'm a foodie, so I didn't mind it. I didn't really think about it that much at the time. Over the course of this past year and a half, I've made significant changes to my life. And these were not forced or not for some public image or for some for some other reason. It was because I consciously started to become more and more aware of what is right for me and what I wanted to do, and what direction I wanted to take. uh, uh, of course, it started with, again, I knew that I couldn't stop eating everything like this, and eventually I decided, okay, I'm going to start reducing my meat intake, reducing my dairy intake, reduced it to a point where I was fairly comfortable without it, and became a vegetarian, and I reduced everything to a point where now me and my wife, we recently started following a vegan diet. We started completely cutting out all of this from our diet, and we knew that we were going to take this direction. In general, like in personally, like my family, my parents, and even my grandparents have been major sustainability freaks. Of course, whatever little sense that they could, any polythene that we get from outside, if we are ever getting a polythene, we never throw it. We make sure that we use it as a garbage bag, or at least something, so that it gets used. We have a zero food waste policy in our house, and these tiny little things, I think that if everyone started to do a little would make a big difference. um, of course, there are more things that we could do, and more ways to be more and more sustainable. And people could, if someone wants to attack you, they can argue you, "Kya re, why are you wearing this t-shirt?" And people can say anything, but it's all about getting more and more conscious about everything, and continuously making small efforts in that consciousness, and that itself is enough. So that's what I try to do.
Sorry, absolutely. I mean, totally agree with you, because we have to do it step by step. It cannot be a big bang approach where we stop one moment, and you have to do it consistently over a period of time, and that's when we can reach a sustainable world, a more sustainable world. So pleasure, Prachi. I mean, thanks for your time. Thanks for this wonderful conversation.
It was an absolute pleasure talking to you.